to Samantha Garner in Devon in the UK. She's a mental health and inclusion consultant. Welcome to the program, Samantha. As we heard from our correspondent Andy there, the fact that Hatay, the worst hit of the quake-hit provinces, experienced yet another big earthquake yesterday, 2 weeks after those massive earthquakes devastated the region. How must people in that province be feeling right now? I mean, the mental health recovery of survivors must take a long time in the wake of disasters like that.
Absolutely. And currently, a lot of the survivors and a lot of the children their main feeling is feeling unsafe. And one of our primal desires is to make sure that we feel safe. And that's why a lot of your conversations earlier have been around returning to normalcy as soon as possible, because some sort of normalcy and routine helps us feel safe and reassured. So, whilst they may have been slowly returning to some form of routine and normalcy, to then be hit by another earthquake is going to set you into sort of fight, flight, freeze, traumatic responses, a lot of adrenaline and stress chemicals going through the body, and just this constant concern of permanently feeling you're in danger and that your life is at risk. I can't imagine the trauma that they're going through and how difficult the situation is for anybody involved in that, and particularly the young children who don't have the emotional capacity or the understanding, perhaps, of how earthquake works and how it's going to move forward.
Yes, and the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, says around 5 million children across those quake-hit provinces have been affected by this disaster. 2 million of those are perhaps considered the most vulnerable. What needs to be done in order to cater for their mental health well-being?
They need to all be given the opportunity to talk about how they're feeling and to be let know that it's okay to talk about how they're feeling. If we bottle up our emotions, we know that that's going to lead to more problems in the longer term. I was heartened to see in some of your footage earlier that children were playing football and children were trampolining. We know that children cannot cope with the intensity of unhappiness and negative emotions, and they need times of having a break from it where they can pretend it hasn't happened. It's almost a protective factor where they have that life is normal and okay, and I'm playing with my friends and I can have enjoyment. So the fact that those opportunities are being provided for them is very, very important. And just to sort of the people around young children, to allow them to talk about it, to model talking about how scary it is, and to answer all their questions, and not have sort of any feeling that they have to be strong for others in order to deal with it, that it's okay to experience these emotions and to express how they're feeling, and give them as many opportunities as they can to do that, before then moving into longer term plans to help support the mental health.
And what about adults? Because adults too would be vulnerable in a situation like that, having lost their homes, maybe even so much more, family members, friends, and even children. How can adults be helped through this process of trying to overcome this grief and trauma?
Again, it is about giving them opportunities to talk about how they feel, to set up some sort of routine as soon as possible, to know that they don't have to be strong, that this trauma is a huge thing emotionally for everybody and anybody, and that to expect that some adults may be okay at the moment in that they're coping with it, they've got things to do, they've got a plan, but to be then hit by it further down the line. Sometimes we don't see trauma sort of mental health wise until up to 6 months or more after the event, when it then sort of has returned to normal, and you've gone out of doing things to help distract you, and then you can start feeling the overwhelming emotions. And also the professionals involved, vicarious trauma from constantly seeing pain and grief, even though they may have not been directly affected, just by being involved in the aftercare and the clear up, their mental health is going to have an impact as well. And so what we just need to be aware of is allow everybody to whatever you're feeling is normal and whatever you're feeling is okay, and to provide lots of opportunities to talk about it and express it and to sort of start a journey towards healing.
Okay, Samantha, we will have to leave it there, but thank you so much for sharing your
You're
analysis
welcome.
with us on such an important topic.